What's up, everybody? This is Jude from Section 122 on ArgosEndzone.com, and it's time for your Week 10 action as the Argos head off to the Labor Day Classic to take on the Hamilton Ticats. But before we get into that, there's some business I gotta take care of. Alrighty, so I made a bet with fellow season ticket holder Clay Chisholm that the Argos would travel into Ryderville and beat the Saskatchewan Roughriders this season. They didn't, and it wasn't even close. To pay off that bet, Clay insisted that I display this massive Saskatchewan Roughriders flag during my Labor Day Classic pregame preview. This thing is huge, and it's taking up the entire frame. I haven't been counting. We're looking for about a 60 seconds worth of airtime. Let this be a lesson to any fans that want to bet other fans. Don't drink before you go to the game and run into other fans. You end up making bets that you might lose and have to. It's huge. What? It's like a car cover. Man, I've never met a Rough Rider fan I didn't like, but I'm only a fan of one team, and it's. By the way, Ricky Foley, please come back. Taking a look back at what happened with Toronto and Edmonton last week, it was a tale of two different halves, as Edmonton completely dominated in every facet of the game in the first half. I think Ricky Ray had about 70 yards passing in the first half, threw a couple interceptions. There was some big plays by the Eskimos offense. Second half, fantastic adjustment made by the Argos. One thing that I saw that I really enjoyed just at the end of the half, All-Pro center Jeff Keeping had the whiteboard out and was scripting out other options in terms of protection packages to try to keep Ricky Ray upright. And you saw those start to take effect as Ray was able to get into a much better rhythm in the second half, moving the ball, scoring some points. So he threw a late interception that sealed the deal with another return for a touchdown. But the second half was a much better game than the first. There's things that can be built on, of course. One of the big things is playing 60 minutes. Frustration, of course. So good news, bad news, right? Chad Owens comes back. Yes, contributes right away. Beauty. Gets himself hurt. So he is doubtful for the game here against Hamilton. Hopefully he comes back strong. Goes, oh man, it was so good to see the Flying Hawaiian back out there again. There was some, again, I had you pick Swayze Waters in the fantasy pool, and he did not disappoint, as I think he ended up with 4 field goals, converted all the extra points, did well on the special team side of things. The defense, again, played so much better in that second half, with big hits from Horton and from Emery. Starting to see that every game. One big hit, big play from each of them. So as that starts to get steamrolling here, as they get more comfortable in that defense, as well as the cast of characters around them, I think we're going to see some improvement. The second half of the season, for 2 reasons, could be much better. First off, everybody's a lot more comfortable. And, 3 reasons. Because we're more comfortable with everybody. We should start seeing some of these players coming back and getting healthy. And a ton more games against the much weaker conference of the East. Not to mention, that's going to decide who's going to lead this thing. As bad as Toronto has been, they are still in first place in the CFL East. They just got to keep going. Just keep building, get better every week. So, heading into Hamilton, maybe. As of this recording, they still hadn't decided if Tim Hortons Field is ready for fans and for games. So they may end up going with Plan B, which is playing at Rogers Center on the Tuesday. We'll see how that all plays out. It'd be just bizarre to have Hamilton and Toronto for a home game. I don't even, as a fan, I don't even know. Do I go? Because, I mean, it would put money in Hamilton's pocket, but it's still at home. I don't want Hamilton feeling like they're at home. We'll see how it all plays out. Again, it's supposed to be at the soon-to-be-completed Tim Hortons Field. On offense, you got to look at Ricky Ray in terms of getting some confidence back because last week was not good. I think he's less than 50 yards passing from hitting 50,000 for his career. So this should happen pretty quickly against the Ticats. No offense, Ticats, but plenty of offense, Ticats. So we should see that happen pretty quickly, pretty early on. And the running game was a little hit and miss against Edmonton, but there's reports that Steve Slayton is healthy, so we get the two-headed beast of him and Curtis Steele running the ball, always having a fresh back in there. Should make a big difference in the running game and the pass protection. Hopefully see that. As I said before, on the defensive side, Emery and Horton are good for big plays on each side. They're good for a big play each game. If that continues, then this could be a lot of fun. Reports are C.J. Gable, the star running back for the Ticats, may not play, and there's a question of who's going to be a quarterback as Zach Argos is coming back from concussion-like symptoms and has been quoted as saying he's chomping at the bit to get back into action, no doubt especially against his previous team. So it's tough to say who's going to be taking the snaps there. The big thing with Hamilton is if their offensive line can actually keep a quarterback vertical, as they've been like a turnstile to TTC and just letting so much defense through in terms of being able to rush the quarterback. If they can get that pressure, if the Argos can get that pressure on whoever's taking the snaps for the Ticats, it'll be a huge factor in this game. The two things I would recommend looking for then would be the Argos defense against the Ticats offensive line, and can the Argos special teams get better punt coverage to make this field possession game more on their side. For Fantasy Pick this week, because of who they're playing, I'm taking the Argos defense and special teams. I think that the defense is going to put a ton of pressure on that passing game in terms of their pass rush, and if Gable isn't able to play or is not at 100%, then you should see those linebackers teeing right off on him. I think it's going to be a big week for that defense in turn for the special teams, as the field possession would open up more opportunities for Swayze Wires to be kicking some field goals. So I would be, if I were you, I would be dressing the Argos defense and special teams against what on paper looks like a much weaker Hamilton team that has not been able to click all year. Prediction. This one's tough. First off, you don't even know what field they're playing at. So getting that, if you can open that stadium up, then you know the Hamilton fans are going to be really excited, very, very vocal, especially for this rivalry game. Playing in Toronto, it wouldn't have the same feel, and you would go in as a Hamilton player a little bit demoralized because you didn't get a chance to debut in the new stadium. So I think that's going to play a factor. A lot of health questions on the offensive side there for Hamilton, in terms of who's going to be taking the snaps and how that offense is going to be running. Same thing can be said for the Argos. Owens is doubtful, Jury is doubtful, but neither is 100% out. So it's really tough to say who's going to come out on top on this one. Well, sorry, we know the Argos are going to come out on top. But in terms of what that score is going to be, you know what? 34-27 just came off top of my head. No different than any other prediction I've made, right? So let's go with 34-27 and see if we can have some fun there for Labor Day. That'll wrap things up for Week 10. It's the Labor Day Classic. You know we're all excited about this. This will be a good time. So it's happening Monday. Make sure you comment below on anything you liked or didn't like. Keep an eye on us on all of our social media in terms of Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Make sure to follow us on Twitter in particular, as we will be planning on having another post-game Google Hangout to discuss what went right and what went wrong for our Double Blue. So keep following Twitter, as we'll update you on how to get in on that and at what time it's going to be. And yeah, the game might be Monday, it might be Tuesday, it might be in Hamilton, it might be in Toronto. So just keep an eye on local listings. TSN's got 5 channels now, so it's got to be on one of them. And yeah, enjoy the last long weekend of the summer, folks. And until next time, this is Jude from Section 122 on ArgosEndzone.com, reminding you that we ride the rail and we ride it hard.